Jai Hind to one and all. Today we'll be starting with the concepts of software engineering, and the code of software engineering is KCS 601. We'll be dealing with the topics of Unit 2, that is Software Requirement Specifications, SRS. So what is requirement documentation? Requirement documentation, this is the way of representing the requirements in the consistent format. Right? Once we have just tried to fetch out the requirements from the end users, we need to document that properly. So this is basically the way with the help of which we just try to represent the requirements in the proper consistent format. It is what is called as software requirement specification. When we are dealing in terms of software, we call it as software. If both hardware and software is involved, then we call it as system requirement specifications, right? So this serves many purpose which depends upon who is writing it. Okay, who is writing this SRS? It is written by the customer or it is written by the developers. Who is writing this software requirement specification? Again, as I told you, this serves as the contract between the customer and the developer. So it is a type of signed document that need to be signed by the customer and the developer. It is going to work as the contract between the customer and the developer. So what is the nature of this software requirement specification? The basic issue that this SRS writer shall address are the following. What is the functionality of the system? They need to be properly incorporated in the SRS. Again, what are the external interfaces? What is the way or what is the medium through which you will be able to interact with the system, or the end user is going to interact with the system? How the system is responding, what is the performance of the system, what are the different attributes that the system or the software is having. Again, the design constraints which is imposed on a particular type of implementation of the system. SRS should correctly define all the requirements. All the requirements should be correctly specified, should be correctly defined in the software requirement specifications. Not describe any design details. This is again very important point, that it should only describe the definition. Okay, the requirements. It should not describe any type of design details. Okay, how the things are implemented, that we need not have to bother. In SRS, it should define all the requirements. Again, not impose any type of additional constraints. No additional constraints need to be incorporated. So, what are the different characteristics of the good SRS? When we are developing a SRS, when we are writing the SRS, what are the different type of characteristics it should have? First is, it should be correct. The SRS should be correct, right? It should be unambiguous. One particular statement or one particular terminology that we are using in should have a single meaning, right? So, it should be unambiguous in nature. It should be complete in nature. It should be properly consistent in nature, ranked for important and or based on the scalability. Then again, is it verifiable? Can be modified? It should be modifiable and traceable. So, these are some very common characteristics that a good SRS should have. Now, what are the advantages of SRS? Right? If you are talking about the software requirement specification, what are the different advantages it should have? SRS establishes the basis for agreement between client and this, as I told you. So, it is something which is working as a type of contract between the developer and between the end user and the person who is going to develop it. So, on what the software product will do, SRS provides the reference for validation of the final product. Whatever final product the end user is expecting, they need to be properly incorporating. Because as I told you, though when we are fetching the requirement, though it is the very first phase, but the document that we are going to get at the end, which is the SRS, is going to work as a type of input for your further phases. That means the design phases. Right. So, if there is any sort of issue in this, if it is not proper or the requirements are not very clear, the product that we are going to develop at the end, or that the product that we are going to get at the end is not a qualitative, will not be a qualitative type of product, of course. Again, a high quality SRS is prerequisite to a high quality software. This is a very, very important point. A high quality SRS is the prerequisite to a high quality software, and you always want the software to be a qualitative software. So, we should try to generate the requirements in the proper way. We should try to develop the SRS in the proper way. And then, of course, we can expect the software to be a qualitative software. A high quality SRS reduces the development cost. This is also important thing. We never want the budget of the particular software to go, whatever we have actually decided. It should not be over budgeted. So, if we have a proper quality software, it is definitely going to reduce the cost of the development. Now, what is the problems without a SRS document? If you are going to proceed and we don't have a proper type of SRS, what are the type of problems that we generally incorporate? The important problems that an organization would face if it does not develop an SRS document are as follows. First is, without developing SRS document, the system would not implement it according to the customer needs, right? So, this is important thing, that if it is not documented, we cannot implement the things based on the needs of the customer, right? Software developers would not know whether they are developing is what exactly is required by the customer or not. Is it so that we are working or we are developing what the customer is expecting, or it is like that they are expecting something else and we are producing and we are delivering something else. So, if it is not generated, definitely these type of issues will come. Again, without SRS document, it will be very difficult for the maintenance engineers to understand the functionality of the system, right? If it is not developed, to understand the functionality is again a very difficult job for the engineers to understand. It will be very difficult for user document writers to write the user manuals properly without understanding the SRS document. So, that means you can see that there are a number of points, and if you are not going to work based on the proper SRS, if you are not going to develop the proper SRS, we can have different type of issues. Now, this is a basic organization of the software requirement specification, which has been published by IEEE. So, there are these different type of guidelines and standards to organize the proper type of SRS. First is, it should be like the purpose need to be properly defined, the scope need to be defined, different type of definitions which are used, different acronyms, any abbreviations which have been used need to be properly incorporated, any references, any overview of the system. If you are talking about the overall description of the system, it deals with the system interfaces from the product perspective point of view, the interfaces, the hardware interfaces, the software interfaces, any type of communication interfaces if there, any sort of memory constraint is there, different operations, any adaptation requirement. That means how we are going to interact with the system from the product point of view, right? So, this is basically the overall description of the system. Then again, functional product functions, characteristics, constraints, assumptions, appointing. Now, from the specific requirements, we can deal with the external, functional, again performance of the system, performance requirement, any logical database, design constraints, software system attributes, organization of specific requirements, any additional. So, this is a type of basic or a general type of template which has been given by IEEE. Any change management process, document approval, any supporting information that need to be incorporated. Now, next comes is the validation of the requirement, right? After the elicitation of the requirement and after analyzing the requirements, the third phase which comes is the validation of the requirements. That means we need to validate the requirements. So, after the completion of SRS document, we would like to check the document score. That means the SRS document has been completed. Now, there is a time to check these documents, which we call as validating the requirement. So, first is the completeness and consistency, conformance to standard. Is it confirming according to a particular type of standard that need to be incorporated? Then again, is there any sort of conflict which is coming between the requirements, any conflicts that need to be properly catered, any sort of technical errors, if there is, need to be properly validated, and again, an ambiguous type of requirement. So, once it is done or once the SRS document is done, then we need to check the documents for these type of issues. Now, the objective of requirements validation is to certify that the SRS document is acceptable document of the system to be implemented. So, that means the requirements have been done, the requirements have been gathered, they have been properly analyzed, and once we are able to validate all these very requirements, right, what we can say? We can say that this SRS document is the acceptable document. There is no sort of issue in this particular type of document. That is worthy because it has already been checked. Now, as you can see from this particular figure, the different type of process which works as an input for your validation process is the SRS document, again the organizational knowledge, any sort of organizational standards, which may vary depending on the type of organization. And again, as far as the output is concerned, we'll be having some list of problems after validating we can have. And again, what are the different type of approved actions? Now, there are two requirements validation techniques, the requirements review, that means simply reviewing of the requirements, and again the prototyping. Now, if we talk about the requirements review, we basically need to plan the reviews. Again, for the review purpose, the proper review need to be properly planned. Then distribute the SRS document to all the concerned person who are the person in the meeting, or if a type of agenda need to be set, different type of the documents need to be properly distributed. They need to read that particular document, organize the review meeting, then follow up what all are the different type of actions. And based on that follow up, we need to check what is the outcome that we are getting. That means we need to revise this SRS document, or is it okay? Right? So, based on the follow-up action, or based on the result, based on the overall review meeting and all, do we need to revise this, or is it okay? So, these are different requirements review phases. Now, problem actions. What are the problem actions? Requirement clarification of the requirements, missing information. If there is any sort of missing information, again, that need to be find out by the type of requirement engineer, whosoever is dealing behind it, that is there any type of missing information that need to be find out. Requirement conflicts, again, they can be different type of conflicts, and again, it need to be properly catered. So, who is going to find out it? Of course, the requirement engineer who is responsible for fetching the different requirements. If there is any unrealistic type of requirements, they again need to be taken care of. Then again need to be find out, and what are the appropriate actions which is basically taking based on this. Any type of security issues. Now, this is the checklist, review checklist. We check this list based on the understandability, then redundancy, completeness, ambiguity, consistency, organization point of view, conformance to particular type of standard which we are adhered to, and is it properly traceable. Now comes is the management of the requirements. After validation, we need to manage this type of requirement. Process of understanding and controlling the changes to the system requirement is what is called as requirement management. That means we need to understand this process and control if there is any type of changes which the system needs based on this very type of requirements. Now, enduring and volatile requirements. Enduring requirements, they are the core requirements and are related to the main activity of the organization. So, they are the main requirements and they basically related with the the main activity of a particular type of organization. Example are, say for example, issue, returning of the books, catalog, etc. If you are talking in terms of any library management system, so these are type of activities which are the main type of activities. Volatile, likely to change during software development life cycle and after delivery of the product. That means once we are talking about the delivery of the system, they may frequently change depending on the needs. Now, this planning, this requirement management planning, if it is, this is a type of activity which is a type of a very critical activity, because change can be incorporated. And until and unless the change the things are fixed, it's quite difficult to, understand, it's quite difficult to incorporate all those very type of scenarios. It's very typical, important for the success of any project. But again, for the success of any project, we need to make sure that whatever changes, if incorporated, they need to be properly adhered to that particular system. Requirements change process should include the following activities to be carried out when a change is needed in the requirements, right? Assignment of the type of responsibility, management of if the changes are coming, that how we are going to manage those very type of changes. Again, after each particular phase, the proper documentation has been done or has been met or not. Requirement need to be properly traceable. Communication of changes, how frequently the changes have been taken, what is actually the medium through which we'll be able to understand these very type of changes in the system. Establishment of the baseline. Now, next comes the software quality assurance. The software or the product that we are dealing with, it should be a qualitative type of software, and we actually don't want to compromise with the quality of the software. We always want the software to be a qualitative type of software. right? So how we can assure the quality of the software that we have developed, is it worthy, is it okay, is it fulfilling all our requirements and all, we should be able to assure it. That is what is software quality assurance. So what is software quality? The objective of software engineering is to produce good quality maintainable software in time, within budget, and which is going to satisfy the requirements of the end user. This is basically the aim. Okay, the aim is that this using the type of techniques, the methods, the technologies, to be able to provide a software or a good quality software which is maintainable, right? If you want to incorporate any type of change, it should be feasible. It should be within the specified time and within the specified budget. Here, quality is very important. Okay, as I told you that we should not compromise with the quality of the software. Different people understand different meanings of quality based on their thinking. Some thinks that it is simply the conformance to a type of requirement. Some categorize or some defines this quality as like this. Some says that it is the fitness for the purpose. Some says that it is the level of satisfaction. The more we are satisfied, the more qualitative product we can say that it is a more qualitative type of product. So, different people have this different meaning based on this quality. Now, when user uses the product and finds the product fit for its purpose, he or she feels that the product is of good quality. That means in real life, when we are using a particular type of product, we can say whether the product is like a qualitative product or not a qualitative type of product. Now, what is SQA? That is software quality assurance. SQA consists of a means of monitoring the software engineering process and methods which is used to ensure the quality. Alright. So, this is basically the way, or this is a mechanism with the help of which we need to monitor the process, the complete process of software engineering. What is software engineering? Software engineering is simply the discipline whose aim is the production of qualitative software. Software which is delivered on time, within budget, and which is going to satisfy the requirements of the end users, right? So, this is the way, or this is the mechanism with the help of which we just try to monitor the software engineering process and the methods. What methods? Which is used to ensure the quality of the software, okay? Every software developers will agree that high quality software is an important goal. So, we always want the software to be a qualitative software. We never want to compromise, and we should not compromise with the quality of the software. So, once said, every program does something right. It just may not be the thing that we want it to do. Now, the definition serves to emphasize three important points. These are three important points that we are actually going to emphasize on. Software requirements are the foundation from which quality is measured. So, until and unless, as I told you, requirements plays an important role. So, if requirements have not been fetched in the proper way, have not been fetched in the complete way, so we cannot actually expect that the product that we are going to deliver at the end is the qualitative product. So, this is something, or this requirement is so important that it is going to work as the foundation for the quality for which we can measure it. If requirements, the better way we are going to understand the requirements, the better software product will be able to deliver at the end. If we are not able to understand the requirements, of course, we cannot say that the product that we are going to develop at the end is the qualitative product. Then, lack of conformance to requirement is lack of quality. If there is any sort of lack in the requirements, it will lead to lack in the quality. That actually we don't want. So, that means complete information should be there, complete requirement should be there, different type of techniques, methods we are having based on which we just try to fetch the requirements from the end users. The better way we are going to understand is the better product the developer is going to develop, right? So, if there is any sort of lack, if there is any sort of conformance to the requirements, of course, the product will not be a qualitative product, right? Second is the specified standards defines a set of development criteria that guides the manner in which software is engineered. That means proper specific standards need to be followed. Again, it is, we have different type of common standards that need to be properly followed. And again, different type of organizations even have their own set of standards, right, which guides that in which way the software need to be engineered. So if the criteria are not followed, again, lack of quality will almost surely result. Okay. So it is again one of the important criteria, or one of the important way with the help of which we'll be able to achieve a product which is a qualitative product, right? So specific standards need to be properly followed. If it is not followed, again, it is going to deal with the quality of the software. The quality of the software will be degraded. That we don't want. Now, third comes is a set of implicit requirements often goes unmentioned. Example, the desire for ease of use and how good the maintainability is. A software conforms to its explicit requirements but fails to meet its implicit requirements, of software quality is suspect, right? There are different type of implicit requirements which are unmentioned. Right? Due to any or the other reasons, those requirements are unmentioned. Say, for example, the desire that how easy or how maintainable a particular type of software is. So, if we are going to, not cater for this implicit requirements, definitely the quality of the software is at the suspect. Thank you so much.